So today's webinar is titled Declare Your Accounting Independence. And today you'll be hearing from Britt Burbis, the Director of Business Development at Ximplifi, and Michael Audet, who is the Director of Implementation with vrplatform. So we are excited to speak to you today about all the ways that you can simplify trust accounting and solve the challenges around accounting and finance for your vacation rental company. A few housekeeping items. We are recording the session, so if you need to jump, no worries, we'll share the recording with you. But we do encourage you to stick around to the end because we'll be answering questions and having more of a live discussion if you have specific questions for our team. Throughout the webinar, though, if something comes up, please feel free to post it in the Q&A. If we don't answer it on the spot, we'll definitely get to it at the end. And then I'm about to launch a poll. If you would please answer those two questions right here, that would be fabulous. And today we're not strictly going into a demo of vrplatform. We're going to talk more about some high-level challenges and how to solve them, different options you have. And so if you were looking for a demo or you want to go watch one after the session, you can type in this URL, or you can check it out through our website. So without further ado, I think I'll let Michael get started.
Thanks, Mary. Hope everybody here in the U.S. had a happy 4th of July, hence the theme of today's webinar, in case you hadn't figured it out yet. Mary, would you mind posting a link of that demo in the chat, so that way if folks need it, they have it. Just something I was thinking about. So we're going to keep this pretty high level today. We will have time at the end to answer very specific questions that you guys have, but just today's display, what we're going to do is we're going to talk through just an overview of trust accounting for short-term rentals. We're going to talk about some of the challenges, and then at the end we're going to just go through solutions. So as Mary said, I'm Michael. I'm with vrplatform. vrplatform is a software automation that serves a short-term rental accounting, short-term rental niche, if you will. And Ximplifi is an accounting service provider that utilizes our software to serve clients in the short-term rental niche. So if someone wants to use our software directly, they're free to do so, or if they prefer to outsource that, they would want to get in touch with somebody like Ximplifi. So if you go to the next slide there, Mary. So a lot of people get into short-term rentals because they have one themselves, or maybe they start managing for friends and family. Especially in the last 4 years, we've seen a lot of new entry into the market with people being stuck at home with COVID, investing in their own property or buying an additional property. But it's a very common story that people don't understand the complexities of short-term rental accounting that's involved with managing other people's properties. So depending on what jurisdiction you operate in, there are different rules and laws. I highly recommend that you get familiar with those rules and laws. In our companies, both Ximplifi and vrplatform, we pretty much will recommend to anybody that's managing third-party owned properties that you have some sort of trust accounting solution in place as a best practice, even if it's not required by the jurisdiction that you operate in. It makes keeping track of things a lot easier. And so that's going to be our approach, unless you're doing a different business model like arbitrage or something that doesn't involve holding funds for third-party owned properties. You do have a fiduciary responsibility to your owners to make sure that they get the funds that they are entitled to. You typically are going to be responsible for issuing monthly owner payments and statements. And so it can be really, really challenging. There's a lot more volume and activity going on. And so having a solution that can help automate some of these tasks really, really goes a long way. Another challenge that we see folks really struggle with is keeping separation between their operating and owner funds. Even if they have a separate trust account, a lot of times they don't really understand what's in it and if it's adequately funded, if there's operating dollars that can be moved out. And so those are some of the headaches that folks deal with on a regular basis. And then lastly, your tax compliance, your state and local taxes, and 1099 reporting at year end. These are areas that property managers struggle with, and we talk to a lot of them day in and day out. And so these are the things that we, want to shed light on, and not to, make people feel overwhelmed, but to make sure that everyone's aware of some of these complications as it relates to short-term rental accounting. Next slide, please, Mary. So a lot of people that come to us for a solution they typically fall into two camps, right? And the first one is that they have a very detailed but manual process, which it's accurate, but it's really inefficient. A lot of times it's very costly. Or on the flip side, they don't have a detail-oriented process. They're doing a lot of importing and exporting, trying to get different systems to talk to each other. Maybe they're dumping reservation data out of their property management system, or they're uploading a bunch of expenses into their accounting system, or manually entering them into their property management system to generate an owner statement. So you have these kind of like two opposing sides. One is very manual. It's accurate, but it's very efficient, very costly, the labor, the time. The other is very efficient, but it tends to not be accurate and hard to reconcile. So, those two things present different challenges depending on the situation with your business. Some additional challenges that we see are, there are legacy property management systems that offer accounting solutions, but a lot of them are very expensive or difficult to use or understand. So, VRPlatform was developed by accountants that only serve the short-term rental industry. So rather than starting from the tech perspective of we need these transactions to go from this system to the other, it actually started with the accounting process and how should the accounting process work. And then automations were introduced to take care of those manual steps that people were having to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. It's very common for folks that are using just a property management system and generating their owner statements, or even exporting and importing data back and forth and maybe doing some sort of Google Sheet or Excel spreadsheet to generate owner statements. It's really hard to make sure all your expenses end up on the owner statement because you're dealing with a lot of data. And so, likewise, it can be really hard to reconcile all your reservations to cash if you're not doing some sort of very detailed manual process. And so doing that tends to be very inefficient for a lot of people. So they either skip it and just trust that everything's being received that should be, or they spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to make sure that all the dollars that they're entitled to are received. And then lastly, and this is probably one of the top questions that people typically have, even ones using a legacy PMS with an accounting module embedded in it, they don't understand if their trust is even adequately funded, and they have no way to really figure it out. This is not that complicated of a thing to reconcile and figure out, but there's just not a lot of good guidance out there, from the property management system softwares that offer accounting. There's just not a lot of understanding in general out in the market. And so we really try to emphasize that this is not something that should be this, goal that's way out here that's unreachable. It's actually very doable to know and to keep track of on a monthly basis. So next slide, Mary.
Well, just to add real quickly to that, I talk with property managers pretty much every day using all sorts of platforms, but I think one of the things I'm hearing most frequently is just, again, trying to account for those expenses that are not happening within the reservations. So they're missing them. And it may not be a huge expense in the beginning, but once they really dive in and realize how many of those expenses are missed and not billed to owners, but yet, of course, paid, that they seem to, it really does add up, makes a big difference. And it can cause a lot of additional manual work to try and make sure that all of those are inputted into those platforms that do have the owner statement tools within the property management system.
Absolutely. Yep. So rather than sticking with, two parties, so to speak, or two approaches, there is a third option, and it kind of takes the best of both worlds. So VR Platform is an API integration that automates a lot of the manual processes. You still get the detail of if you're doing everything manually, but you get it automated, so you're not actually going through and reconciling individual reservations to cache. That happens in bulk, either weekly or monthly, depending on the size of your operation and what's recommended. But at the end of the day, you're using our tool to bring reservation transactions into the accounting system. Stripe, Airbnb deposits are captured, and so it really creates an environment where things are happening, and you move away from trying to figure out, okay, have I captured everything, to I'm reviewing what the system's posting and making sure that everything reconciles. My cancellations and my resolutions show up where I want them to, meaning they're impacting the owner statement and the commission, or they're not. And the result is that you can really get a best-in-class accounting approach with our software. You're making sure that those reconciliations are happening, and your owner statements are really nice looking, professional. You can put a logo on them, brand them, and your owners can access them from a portal securely, and it's very easy. You can generate them with a click of a button. One of the things that talking with a bunch of accountants we're a little bit biased about is everything expense and revenue wise exists in one system, and that's the accounting software. So generating an owner statement from the accounting software makes a lot of sense, because you actually are already capturing the data there. So we've built our process so that based on how you capture an expense in your accounting software, that ultimately drives that expense to the owner statement. So you don't have to go through and manually bring all these expenses to your owner statements. Based on how you capture them in the accounting software, it automatically pushes them there. And then another point that I think is really, really beneficial is this separation between owner activity and the property management company's financial performance. You can run a P&L for just the property management company, see how it's performing by listing. So you can actually see that bottom line contribution that each property is having to the business, and you can decide, make more educated and informed decisions there. A couple future developments that we are working on that are coming out later this year. We are piloting an embedded accounting solution with 2 property management systems, and that is something that's going to be available here in the next 2 to 3 months. And a part of that, but also a separate product that we will be offering, is our own general ledger feature. So right now we integrate with QuickBooks Online and Sage Intacct for larger, more complicated entities. But in the future, you will not require a standalone software for your accounting. If you don't have one already, you can just utilize our embedded general ledger for all of your trust and owner-related activity. So we're really excited about that. It's been a huge development project for our team, but those are things that are rolling out in the future that for some reason you're in a situation where maybe you're using Xero, or you have a different accounting solution because you're in a different country that doesn't integrate with our platform. That won't be an issue going forward. So next slide, Mary. So as I said before, VR Platform is an API plugin, and we're basically taking data from the property management system, Airbnb and Stripe, and based on the configurations for your business, we are posting transactions into an accounting system, or as I mentioned before, into our general ledger if you're using our standalone product. And we are then taking that data and pushing it to the owner statements and property management financials at the end of the month. We did win an award at DARM 2022 when we first rolled out our owner statement module, and we have over 10,000 listings on our platform, and we grow every month. And we have roughly, if you go to the next slide, Mary, we integrate, I think it's with, oh, sorry, one more, had them out of order there. we integrate with a number of property management systems that you see here. We do have an Avantio integration that we're launching here in the next month or so as well. So that's being tested as we speak. But a lot of options. I would say that our platform is very flexible, so it can do a lot. You can go to the next slide there, Mary. If you do decide to utilize, whether it's just VRPlatform, or if you decide that, hey, I just want to outsource all my accounting completely, you know, the benefits of that are you're going to have peace of mind. You're going to be able to look at your business from a high level. A lot of owner operators want to just have their hands in everything, which is great, especially when you're small. But as you grow, it's important that you have the structure in place where you're working on your business, not in it. And if you're going to really manage it and grow it, you kind of have to have that high level bird's eye view to say, these are the properties that are performing well, contributing to our bottom line. These are the ones that are sucking all of our time and we're not making money on, et cetera. So it's really, really helpful to have a good system in place or service that helps you accomplish that. And then your owners are going to be satisfied because they're getting timely, accurate reports, and you know, they're able to access them, run their own summary reports, which is a benefit that I didn't mention before. But in the owner's portal, they will have the capability, if they own multiple listings, they can put together their own reports in their owner portal that shows all their properties for a period of time. And they can also look at things like 1099s, draft before you file them, et cetera. So there are a lot of advantages to the owner portal and how it functions. And then, of course, last and not least is time. We all get the same amount every day. Some sleep a little more than others, but time is probably one of the greatest resources that is limited, that you can't really create more of. And so the only way to create more of it is to use less of it. And the benefit of using a software like ours or a service like Ximplifi's is you're putting more time back to yourself so that you can run the business and focus on it. So I'm going to turn it over to Britt. She's going to give you just a quick overview of Ximplifi and the service options, and then we will open it up for Q&A.
Great, thanks, Michael. Yeah, so Michael kind of already brought some of this up, but just kind of recap. Ximplifi is an actual accounting firm that specializes in the hospitality industry. It's really all we do. Our primary focus is short-term rental accounting. We do work with some companies that have long-term rentals, real estate development, funds, and things like that, but all kind of in that same umbrella of hospitality. And as Michael mentioned, we're also an accounting firm partner that utilizes VRPlatform for our clients, and also actually a co-founder of VRPlatform as well. But our mission really is to improve our clients' lives and help them achieve better financial success by leveraging technology and with our accounting services. We offer 3 different levels of accounting services, or we do have the option to help larger organizations that maybe have an internal accounting team upgrade their accounting systems and automate processes for that internal team to just be more streamlined. So we can help with things like making credit card reconciliations, owner statement preparation, lodging and occupancy tax reporting, all the way up to monthly financial reporting for the management company, coaching calls, and CFO advisory. Our goal is really to customize a solution based off of the pain points and needs of our customers. And again, we're really there to help people that want to take off even more of the accounting activities, because the VRPlatform will, of course, help automate a lot of it, but there are going to, of course, always be accounting activities that need to occur on a daily, weekly basis. So that's kind of where we can come in and give additional support.
Awesome.
And maybe to go back to the supported systems, because I do think that's at least an important part to hit on quickly.
Yeah.
Great. And I'll speak to this too, Michael, you may have something to add, but currently these are the property management systems that we support with VRPlatform. So we're able to automate bringing over data from these with VRPlatform. And we also work primarily with Sage Intacct or QuickBooks Online, depending again on a company's structure and needs. We will help you identify the right accounting platform if you find that maybe QuickBooks isn't working out well or giving you the reporting that you need. And then Avantio is coming soon, which we're very excited about. And we are continuing to add additional platforms as well.
And we have 2 or 3 additional property management systems following Aventio. I don't want to mention them yet until we actually have a more accurate target date, but I would anticipate that it's going to be close to or before the end of 2024. So
Nice. Yeah, we do have quite a few questions in our chat, so I think we can just start at the top. The first question is, I have rent payments and fees depositing into the same account. Can your fees be deposited into another designated account? So that sounds like.
So any deposits that you have flowing into your accounts to owner accounts can be captured and picked up automatically via using VRPlatform.
Hope that answers your question. And then how much does this service cost? I think referring to VRPlatform, but we could maybe talk to that for both.
Yeah, so I posted somebody else asked about costs. I posted a link to VRPlatform pricing. I think everyone should be able to see that. It's just vrplatform.app and there's a pricing page. But if you are asking about cost for Ximplifi services, that's something you'll need to contact Britt directly about, because it's a little bit more complicated depending on what level of service you want.
Yeah, exactly. And I could just touch on it. We price our services based off of the number of live listings that we're going to be managing for you, as well as, of course, which level of service that you decide on. So if you would like to get a quote from me, I'd be happy to put that together. If you want to just send me a quick email after the event, my contact information will be put up here shortly. There it is.
Yeah. Perfect. Jan says, I'm in the third category. I've been managing my own rentals and I'm now starting to manage for other owners. So I need help setting up my system. Can we help from this stage?
Yeah, we have a lot of clients that come to us right at that stage, Jan, and we will be available to assist you and answer any questions you have. However, I just want to make it clear that we typically do not do actual onboardings with our clients. There's no charge for onboarding because it's self-guided. We have an onboarding checklist that you go through to set up your environment. And then it also includes your monthly subscription, includes support, to answer any questions you have. If you do need additional training or decide that, you want some one-on-one training or assistance, we do offer that at an additional cost. But most of our clients are self-onboarded and they're able to just follow the steps and set it up themselves.
And I will just mention, with the accounting services side, onboarding is a lot more hands-on with our team, kind of working with you to, help determine how things should be set up based off of your structure and needs, and how you have your commissions set up and all the above. So that could be a good option if you're concerned about that, and again, really wanting to remove more of the accounting activities from your plate. But either way, you would be given some support there, of course, for the setup.
We have another question. So would this replace QuickBooks if you're using QuickBooks?
So right now, our current setup is it integrates with QuickBooks. So QuickBooks will continue to be your accounting software of record. And the general ledger feature that I mentioned earlier could potentially replace your trust accounting if you're currently doing it in QuickBooks. But we will continue to support and work with clients that want everything in QuickBooks. So that if that's your preference, I like having all my operational activity, all my trust activity in QBO. You can continue to use that setup as well. So I think that answers the question, but going forward, there'll be an option to, just use the VRPlatform general ledger. But right now we are actually utilizing QuickBooks as the source of your accounting. And so we have our own chart of accounts, products and services. That's all part of the configurations and setup. And then we link everything to classes in QuickBooks to identify which property a transaction's for, and also to help separate your operating and trust activity as well.
Thank you. About year-end tax-related statements, can you help with P&Ls and balance sheets? I think this is directed to Britt.
Sure. Yeah, so our accounting service does provide our clients with P&Ls and balance sheets on a monthly basis, which of course makes it much easier come tax time. But if you are not looking for the actual accounting service, again, just making sure that things are set up and structured the way that the VR platform team will help you, you will have access to create these things yourself within QuickBooks as well. So again, just really depends on what level of support that you're looking for, but either way, you would have these reports within QuickBooks for your company or Sage Intacct if we considered that route.
Thank you. Will the embedded system work differently than, they say, their current usage? And is it only for specific PMS? Which ones?
There's two property management systems that we will be rolling that out with first, and then there will be additional ones from there. But Avantio and Hospitable will be the first two that we roll that out with. It's basically going to do all the same things that your current integration does. The only difference is you won't be jumping between systems. So that's all I can say about it at this point. The thing to keep in mind is that VR platform does the same thing no matter which property management system we integrate with. So we're going to do this. Our accounting is going to look the same, and our process is going to look very similar, no matter whether we're posting stuff into QuickBooks or if we are embedded in the property management system itself. We're going to be doing the exact same thing because the underlying accounting transactions don't change. So the main benefit there is rather than someone having to use two different platforms to manage their business and their accounting, it would just be part of one platform, so everything's accessible with from your property management system login.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hope that clears it up. And then we have a very specific question, I think, from the same person, your anonymous attendee. And I think this is probably a question better addressed one-on-one. It's regarding like their specific kind of portfolio configuration. So since we don't know who you are, if you would please reach out to either Michael at vrplatform.app or Britt at ximplifi.com. I think that would probably be the best approach to help answer your specific questions.
Yeah, and we have worked with clients that have, SPVs. I know it's the term you're using there, but we have like a fund type of structure that owns, a swath of listings or properties, and that can get a little bit more complicated. But there's definitely, with some additional information, I know we can probably help you out with that. And that'd probably be good, Britt, to connect Jesse with them directly. It'd be a good question for him.
Right. Absolutely.
All right.
Hand raised as well. We want to open it up to a live question from Aaron.
Oh. Does Aaron have a question? Sorry, I see you now. All right. I have given you permission to speak if you desire.
I was just checking. I think I saw the integrations. I was asking about Guesty, and I think I see both you guys listed as the on the API for the marketplace. So I found the answer.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes, we definitely work with Guesty. Well, thank you. If we don't have any other questions.
There is one more, Britt.
Oh.
Mary.
Right.
Yeah, so Jesse's asking about the minimum number of listings required. For VR platform, our starting listing subscription level is 10. So if you have 1 to 10 listings, it's going to be the same price. I think that might be a little different on Ximplifi's side, so I'll let Britt speak to that.
Yeah, we typically have a 10 property minimum for accounting services. Sometimes we can make exceptions on that depending on the company and what your growth goals are. So I'd be absolutely happy to speak with you about that if you have interest in the service.
Awesome. And then Tara was wondering if she can see what the owner statements look like. I know.
Yeah, I'd be happy to pull one up on the screen.
Okay, I'll stop sharing. I should be able to give you control. All right, you should be able to share now.
Thanks. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So this is just a demo environment, but this is what your owner statement section is going to look like. As you can see, we grouped them by month. You've got your starting balance, which in most cases is going to be 0. Your net income for the month, your ending balance, the amount that you're paying out to the owner, and then your ending balance from there. So ideally, each month we would have a starting balance of 0 and an ending balance of 0. But that can change depending on if you have maybe an owner balance that you're rolling forward, or a reserve or something like that that you're keeping. As far as what the statements look like themselves, these are very customizable. So as you can see here, this net revenue section is going to show you all of your reservation specific items, and all of these categories up at the top, you can set them to be whatever you want. So I have some clients that have, 10 columns up here showing a bunch of different fees and items broken out separately. And then I have some clients that have net rental revenue. So it really depends on, what you want to show your owners, what you're already showing them. But this is all pulling automatically in from the accounting system. So this is pretty much just the push of a button and you're generating an owner statement. As you can see, there's one expense down here for an HVAC repair. Again, that's also coming over directly from the accounting system, pulling in a general ledger detail. This is, if I click the preview button, it's going to show you exactly what the owner is going to see. So this is, as you can see, we've got our logo here, our name, and the owner name, and then a roll forward of the activity here. We've got our, whatever information you're showing the owner. We have a commission recalc field over here that the owner doesn't see. That's really kind of a quality control check that a lot of people use when they're reviewing their owner statements before they send them to the owner. I'll find one here that's got a little bit more expense activity for you. Let's see. Yeah, so here's an example of one that's got a bunch of different expenses. This is by default going to pull in your memo from your accounting software. If for some reason you see something and you want to add, additional context, you can always just come in and edit this directly. Light bulbs or whatever. That's a feature that we put in to kind of make it easier, save you from having to go back and forth between the systems. But in general, this is what it's going to look like. You can add as many different categories here as you want. And you can also, like I said, customize whatever columns you want to show. We also have some formulas that you can show, like ADR, average revenue per guest, and that sort of thing. But in general, this is kind of like what our default template looks like that a lot of folks use. And then up at the top, whatever you're going to pay out the owner, you would just, put that amount in here. I didn't mention this previously, but what's going to happen when we actually post this is it's going to create a bill in the accounting system that we can easily convert into a payment to the owner. So it's a pretty nice feature. Tara has a follow-up question about what month does an overlapping booking show up? So right now, Tara, we have the capability to automatically reflect stays based on your check-in or your check-out recognition. You can split up a booking especially if it's a long-term stay over 30 days. But that is right now, you have to make a manual adjustment to do that. The reservation is going to post on the check-in or check-out date based on your policy that you set in the system. We will be rolling out a calendar day recognition with our general true feature. But right now it's either check-in or check-out. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Michael and Britt.